Hello everybody, I hope you're well, and yes, I've done it again. This parcel I have here that I'm going to open, I took delivery mid-March, late March, and it's kind of now coming towards mid-July. So I think it's about time I opened it. Long has gone the return period, but you never know what will happen. So this was a shirt that I actually clocked towards the end of 2021, and I was like, ooh, that's quite an interesting one, that is. I will try and find a way to purchase it. And I thought there's going to be no way that it will ever appear in the UK, or at least not for some time. So I was contacting my friend who lived in the country, and he said unfortunately it's a rather limited shirt, and it was only available to people who are sort of members of the club. He wasn't able to find one. So I was like, okay, that's fair enough, you know, these things happen. You can't just let these things keep sort of going at you in your head. However, sort of fast forward, you know, sort of 3 or 4 months, one appeared, or should I say a few appeared, for sale in the UK. And I thought, well, let's grab one then. Probably don't get many opportunities like this. So here it is. It's in the package, so I think I shall open it up, show you what it is. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with it, and those of you who aren't, I think you'll probably find it rather interesting. So without further ado, let's see what it is. Okay, so there's the shirt and just general invoicing stuff. Okay. So there's sort of the front there, see a bit of a sponsor, and then there is sort of the shirt there. You can see the crest. Some of you may be familiar with that one there, sort of the Lone Star, depending on how familiar you are with clubs from that part of the world. So let's just get this open. Don't need that. Has the tags, which is good, and it is a regular fit shirt, so that means it shouldn't be as super tight as they can be from Kappa. Okay. Let's try that again. There is the rear of the shirt. So, nothing too much going on there, apart from a wee flag on the back of the neck there, which I suspect is probably the neighbourhood from where this club is based, but I shall double check that, as I usually do. But it's the front, where all of the fun is occurring, or should I say, interesting bits of information, because I suppose technically it's not that fun when you understand what it's all about. So you have the sponsor on the front, you have obviously the crest, and you have these bits of information, these statistics on the bottom in a graph form. These are not necessarily just vertical stripes, though they are. They are also graph form, so the higher they are, the higher the number that correlates below them. But what do they mean? Well, firstly, they're in Portuguese, as you'd expect, so it's a little bit difficult for me to tell you specifically right now, but I have been able to find a translation. So I shall address the mannequin, do a little bit of research regarding some of the details of the shirt, and then I'll explain to you what it is all about. Really nice. Okay then, there is the shirt, looking really good, but who is the club? Well, looking at the crest, of course it's Botafogo, and this is their Anti-Racismo 2021 Manta de Desigualdade shirt. So this is a shirt that was released by the club to sort of highlight levels of social inequality within the country, specifically pertaining to the black community. And initially it was released as a limited edition shirt, which is when I struggled to purchase it straight away. But as far as I understand it, they had a few waves of releases. So they have had 3 waves of releases, which kind of makes sense why I was able to find a few in the UK. I did purchase it from Subside Sports, and it was quite an expensive shirt, really. This one cost me £79.99, which is towards the upper end of what I generally spend on football shirts, and they only had a limited sort of amount of sizes available, and they sold out pretty quickly, maybe within a few days. Difficulty is, because they've released another wave of them, making it not so limited, they now have a full size availability for sale. It's still the same price as £79.99, but it makes it a little bit more accessible to people if you didn't get it the first time round, which I suppose is good in that respects. But if you're looking for something that's limited, sometimes it's a bit annoying when it suddenly becomes quite more common. But, you know, that's fair enough. Anyway, Botafogo, of course, are a team from Brazil, and they were founded in 1904 from the bairro, the neighbourhood of Botafogo. Kind of makes sense, right? They have some rivals, and they're all generally the most important clubs from Rio. So you've got Fluminense, Flamengo, and Vasco da Gama. So the match between Fluminense is known as the Grandfather Derby, because it's actually the oldest derby within the country. And then you have the ones that are between Vasco, which is known as the Friendship Derby because it's generally non-violent. It's the one that goes between them and Flamengo, which is generally the biggest for the club and one of the biggest in the country. So with regards to the club itself, in 2000 they finished joint 12th with quite a few teams in the FIFA World Magazine Poll award for the Club of the Century. No surprises that Real Madrid absolutely crushed that one. Kind of makes sense. With regards to actual football that they play, they finished they finished top of the second division the season prior, so they earned promotion, and this season they play in the top division and are currently sitting mid-table, which I presume they're pretty pleased with. They last won Serie A, the top division of Brazil, all the way back in 1995, and only won it previously once before that in 1968. So historically they've not been the most successful club in the world, but it's definitely one of the sort of main ones when you think about Brazilian football. With regards to their current squad, players us Europeans may recognise, you've got Lucas Piazon, of course, ex-Chelsea player who's on loan there from Braga. You have Rafael da Silva, the ex-Manchester United fullback. And then there's also an American-born Finland native national team player who plays there, who's on loan from Queen's Park Rangers. So that's kind of an interesting little combination of stuff going on there with that player. So other than that, I'm sure there's some other big names that are sort of more native, but for me, I don't really necessarily recognise those. However, I suppose the most important thing is, what does all this mean with regards to the shirt? So you've got a lot of statistics, you've got a lot of numbers, which we can all recognise, but it's the text below that unfortunately is not in English, which makes sense, it's in Portuguese. So I'll explain to you what it means. So, firstly, 56.2% of the population in Brazil are black. 27% of wealthy people of the population are black. 61% of female victims are black women. Blacks make up only 10% of students in the top 20 best schools of Brazil. Only 18% of doctors are black. 75% of victims of homicides are black. And 27% of medical students are black. So there's some pretty damning sort of statistics there. Specifically the homicide one. I mean, I'm obviously not going to get into any sort of political stuff. Every country has its own issues, and it's just nice that a club as popular and as notoriety as with Botafogo is just using their platform to sort of spread the awareness of it. So you know, I think they played a game with it. I couldn't quite specifically tell. When I looked online, I could see images that looked like they were played during a game, but I specifically couldn't find it, so I'm not 100% sure, but it'd be really good if they definitely did, just to promote that awareness. So it's nice to see that from a club. It is, of course, a Kappa shirt. All of this stuff is all like sort of screen printed into the design, apart from that, which is embroidered on, and the Kappa logo on the side and the front there are all transferred. That flag on the back is actually just the flag of the club, which kind of makes sense because it's black and white. It kind of goes with the sort of the colour scheme of the club there. But I'm really, really pleased to own this. It's a really nice shirt. It seems the ones that I have Brazil are kind of unique and special in their own right. They've got their own sort of story behind them. So I've got a nice little collection building on there. So like I said, Subside Sports do have some for sale. They are rather expensive, probably more expensive than when they're available in Brazil, but you know, you've got to take into account shipping and taxes and all that stuff. You know, would I want to pay less? Obviously, but you know, sometimes you've got to take that hit, especially when I thought it was going to be rather limited, whereas now it's not quite as. But yeah, what do you think? I think it's pretty cool. You know, I do like to get shirts that have, you know, a slightly different approach to things, a different meaning. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be, you know, the most ridiculous and crazy statements, but it's just nice to be able to have something that you can refer back to in a few years and go, oh yes, I remember when that club did that pretty cool thing. So hopefully there is a positive outcome from this and things are able to progress. Anyway, that is that video. I hope you have a great week ahead. I think I'm going to possibly release this one on Monday. So yeah, I will hope you enjoy the videos coming up for the week. And yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you as always. Goodbye.